Attention on deck. You're about to take command. Welcome to the bunker.
Welcome, everybody, back to the bunker. This, Scouts, believe it or not, is episode 100. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as you probably just heard there, I'm joined by one of my illustrious co-hosts today and good friend from up north in jolly old England. It's the Scouse man himself, Mr. Andy Lockhart. Scouse, I usually ask this, how are you? I can probably guess how you are today, brother, but how are you on this very dreary, cold, wet and windy Monday in jolly old England?
Yeah, man, I feel like the weather is absolute shit.
Shit.
You know, I mean, it's just the Commanders kicked me in the balls last night, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, still feeling it. How about you, man? How you doing?
Bro, I'm exactly the same as you. I had non-NFL fans comment to me today saying, "Did your team lose to the Dallas Cowboys? They haven't won for months." I'm like, you don't even watch American football. You don't watch it. Yeah, my day's been terrible, pretty much. Jesse can't be with us. Had to go and deal with some family stuff. Jesse, sending you all the love in the world, bro. Hope everything works out for you, brother, with the family stuff going on. But we will get Jesse's. I've got Jesse's takes on the game, so we can get into them. But Jesse's nemesis, funny enough, Jesse can't make it, but his nemesis, a good friend of ours, good contributor to the podcast, always on Twitter. Scott G, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay today, and thanks for having me. And congrats on episode 100.
Oh, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and I don't know. Scouse calls me his nemesis. I'm Jesse's nemesis. I guess I'm just nemesis to everybody.
You're like, we could just call you Lex Luthor. It'd be a lot easier.
Hey, someone has to come
everybody's
in and
nemesis.
If you have a bunch of yes men,
I know.
there's times where you just have to be.
Someone's not allowed to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
you do always bring us down a peg.
I say keep the defense honest. I say, you keep us honest. So yeah, that's all.
To be fair, I haven't really got much of an argument for you today, Scotty G. I think you're going to rule this episode.
I've been drinking your Kool-Aid, but someone went and put salt in it.
Let's get into it, boys. 34-26 to the Dallas Cowboys in what is one of the most bizarro games of football I think I've ever watched in my NFL fandom. I've been watching this game many, many, many years. Scott, what was your biggest takeaways from yesterday? We were out of that game for pretty much 99.9% of it. And then we think we've somehow pulled off another miracle with Terry running the ball in for a touchdown in the dying seconds of the fourth quarter. And then in true Washington fashion, we went and missed the extra point. Scotty, took me down off the ledge, bro. What do you think about yesterday?
Well, it's a typical rivalry game, unfortunately. Everyone was saying it was going to be the get-right game, which, hey, I thought it was going to be as well. But at the same time, I kind of had a few, just because every time we feel like, hey, this team is back, we find a way of getting, as Scout said earlier, get kicked in the balls. So it's supposed to be the get right game, but instead it was the get sick game.
It was a very get sick game. Scouts, what was your takeaways from yesterday, bro? Before we get into breaking it all down and we talk plays and players and offenses and defenses, what did you make of the game as a whole? Like we weren't in it. We were all in our group chat. With Scotty, we've got a little WhatsApp group chat between all us like podcasters and stuff like that, and something just felt off from me from like the very first quarter. I'm just thinking, is Jaden injured? I mean, people were talking about his ribs and people were blaming the weather. It just seemed a lot of excuse football was being thrown around yesterday, including myself. I was trying to think of everything while we weren't quite at the races. Scouts, what did you think as the game unraveled into the first quarter? And then you're thinking, okay, well, second, we'll pick it up now. We'll start to play. We'll get the run game going. And B-Rob goes down with an ankle. He tried to come back. That really affected us. Our passing game was pretty much non-existent until the fourth quarter, which we're going to get into. I can't put my finger on what went wrong specifically yesterday. It was just a clusterfuck of things, bro. What did you make of it?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of things that went wrong. I think we came in underprepared.
Even with the 10 days off?
Especially on offense. Yeah, even with the 10 days off. We weren't at the races, as you said. We had a few guys who were nicked up, few injuries, etc. But everyone's playing through some sort of injury at this time of year. So I'm not going to blame it too much on injuries. Um, but I mean, like you think about the Dallas team, Dallas had half a team out basically of their first starters due to injuries, and they still made us look like punks. Let's face it, they wanted it more. They were motivated. We weren't motivated at all. You can see it the defense tried to hold us on there. They seemed to do their job for most of the game until obviously the fourth, whenever they went Pete Tong. But until then, the defense kept us in the game again, just like they did against the Eagles. Same thing, kept us in the game, but offense was doing naff all game, and until right at the end, and it's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. I mean, there's so many different things that are part of it. O-line play was bad, really was against again. Okay, Parsons is a beast. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you've got to have more. You got to be able to stop that guy. At the end of the day, we had, for example, when we played against Pittsburgh, we played JJ Watt.
Mm-hmm.
We made sure he didn't do shit in that game. We stunted him. We did all sorts to try and make sure he didn't get. And only until the fourth quarter, he didn't even get anything. Didn't even near our quarterback. That's what we should have done with Parsons. I know Parsons moves around a lot, so it's a little bit harder to do. I get that, but he's the guy you have to stop. He's the main guy, and we just didn't. We had no answers at all. So it was really poor, really disappointing performance from the offensive line. And then I think there's a lot to the B-Rob injury. I think that was a big thing. The problem is for us is that we only play well with the run game when B-Rob's in. And the problem is, unfortunately, for whatever reason, he's unlucky with injuries. He's not durable. You can't rely on the guy. Unfortunately, I love the guy, but he's just not available. For whatever reason. Like yesterday, it was the first play of the game. And he gets twisted up by that defender, which was a naughty tackle, I thought personally. But is what it is. But he just seems to be unlucky. And with injuries, and thing is, though, our backup guys aren't good enough to take over the whole role of a full run game that he can do. And we've been found out because of it. So we're definitely lacking depth and quality talent.
Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of that. There's a few fan questions regarding around that. Scotty, what do you put the lack of offensive ability to move the ball, to throw the ball? People were talking about we couldn't get receivers open. I mean, that we've got into a heated discussion on the post game yesterday with the Bleeding Burgundy body guys, and obviously Scotty from the 1 Point Safety Show. Was this for you? Was this coaching? Was this execution? What was it for you? Because we generally couldn't seem to get anything going, whether that was our run game, whether we didn't really try and pass the ball either. So, but a lot of people were saying, "Oh well, we didn't execute well." We didn't even really try to pass the ball. I mean, a lot of people were getting on Terry's case saying, look, he has to. I know, Scotty, you mentioned to me in the Twitter chat yesterday that he has to get himself open for Jaden to get him the ball. But a lot of people were on my Twitter mentions today saying, hey, look, why don't we move Terry around a little bit? We're predominantly always putting him on scouts. You made the point yesterday. We're always predominantly putting him on that right side of the field. Why can't we line him up on the opposite side of the field? We targeted Brown way too much. I mean, he couldn't catch a cold yesterday. Scotty, what do you put it down to? The lack of offensive movement, A, running the ball, and B, throwing it? Because whatever we tried yesterday, we didn't seem to get any yards doing anything.
I personally think, defenses have had, we're 12 weeks into the season now. We've had no bye weeks, so we've had 11 games of, film out there. And I think defenses have, noticed what our tendencies are. And they have ways of doing it. And as Scouts mentioned, Parsons, he primarily was rushing and causing most of the chaos from up the middle. When Watt and some of the other guys, when they're coming off the edge, it's a lot easier to chip in those type of items. So our tackles have done a good job with the help. Yesterday, what has been a strength of, Biotish and Cosme and everything else, they struggled up the middle. And Parsons is an electric playmaker on the defensive side, and he proved it yesterday. And with the run game, it seemed like after Robinson, we didn't really even get to see what he had to do yesterday with the unfortunate injury.
Yeah.
But the last few weeks, if you look back at the beginning of the year, we were always getting positive yards, first and second down. So we were always playing ahead of the chains. Last couple weeks, and especially yesterday, we struggled on first and second down. So we had third and long, third and 6, third and 8, or even longer if we had a penalty. And with that, it's difficult to get anything going. And um, so I think part of it's scheme. And, are we doing things too predictable? And so
Yeah, I was
defenses
going to
know.
say that. Do you think the scheme it did get very predictable yesterday? I mean, we've always said this on here. We're no NFL coaches, and I know Jesse and Scouse got into it on that. I don't know if you probably saw the post game last night about execution and scheme. What proportion of it for you is scheme? Because Cliff Kingsbury's coming in for some absolute. He's getting a hammering today, but caveat that with how much of a responsibility do the players have to take?
To me, it's always a 50-50 game.
Mm-hmm.
The coach has to put the players in position to succeed and have success. Then it's up to the players to execute. And that starts up front with pass protection. And it seemed like with the pressure, and this has always been with any quarterback, and Jane Daniels is, he's a young quarterback. He's going to be a great quarterback, but quarterbacks do not like getting pressure up the middle. When they get a pressure in their face, all of a sudden their eyes start dropping down and they're looking more at the defender instead of opening. And, it seems like we're always rushing to go to the second read. I don't know if it's, I definitely think, the tendency is always to line up Terry on the same side. And I think everyone's been saying, oh, that's because they always want to play, the up tempo game. And they don't want the receivers running, all the way across the field. However, at some point, try some motion, those type of items. Terry, we're not going to get into the whole debate that everyone loves to have. But he is our best playmaker of what we currently have. And we need to find a way of getting him the ball. Right now, we're failing. That could be, hey, he's not getting open off the line, the routes, anything else. And how many times did they run the screenplay and every time it gets blown up? So, but
I think they lost yardage. I think they lost yardage on the screenplays that they run yesterday. Yes. Again, does that come back to us being I called two of them screenplays. I'm sitting on my couch going, oh no, we're running a screenplay here. And straight away, the Cowboys were like, we know it. Don't get me wrong. That's what NFL is for. You scout your opposition. You kind of get a gist. But when a dude in England is sitting on his couch going, oh no, I think we're going to run a screenplay here, and it goes for negative yardage, Scouts, surely then something's got some alarm bells.
You've got to change it up.
Does that come back to? Does that come back though, Scouts, to us being predictable? And I know, again, let's get into what you and Jesse got into yesterday. Does that come back to coaching, or like Scotty mentioned on our Twitter mentions yesterday, and like Jesse mentioned on the post game, is it execution? I know you got some strong views on this.
I mean, I think obviously it is intertwined. There is elements of both in that. I mean, when me and him was arguing, Jesse were arguing yesterday. I mean, I'm always a guy of kind of keeping the defense honest, and what I mean by that is, the deep shot. Now, I don't mean like, oh yeah, we throw the ball 60 yards and Terry's there to catch it for touchdowns. I'm talking even just throwing the ball over the top and way away from defenders, just to keep the defense thinking. They're thinking deep ball, deep ball, and what that does, that just gives them a little couple of yards. That's all it needs, because we play a lot of underneath. We play a lot of short intermediate routes. We play a lot of screen game. We do a lot of zone run, RPOs, all the rest of it. That's all in front, if that makes sense. So for me, I'm all thinking, well, if the defense is thinking, well, they're going to play this way and this way and this way, predictability, like you mentioned before. Well, then the back end's going to come forward as well, and it's going to be even less space in the middle for what we need to do. And the defense is picking us off every time, but not interceptions, but stopping us from getting anywhere. And that's why I'm on about, like, take the deep shot, even if it's incomplete. Obviously, don't throw it to a bloody cornerback, but you know what I'm saying. Throw it deep, keep them honest, and then, okay, yeah, it didn't happen, but at least that makes them think that second guess, that extra second, and sometimes that's all it needs. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm getting frustrated with yesterday's game. We had one deep shot which was overthrown. That's fine, being overthrown. It's okay.
The one Terry nearly caught, he would have ended up out of bounds, but
yeah,
there was one to Terry. There was one to Terry and one to Brown.
Yeah,
and Brown can't catch a cold.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people are saying that Jaden shouldn't have thrown that ball to Brown, but when you look at the replay, he should have caught it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of drops, and obviously that ruins Jaden's stats. These guys keep dropping the balls. And that's the reason why we don't really have high quality wide receivers. I mean, we mentioned it before at the start of the season. Where is what's one of them rooms that's like, oh yeah, it's okay, but like you need real quality and real high talent. And we have got loads of guys with upside, McCaffrey and these other guys, but we're not no real proven dudes besides Terry. That's the only guy you've got. And we're being found out now. We're being found out when we really need that extra catch or that on that fourth and one, or whatever it is. Our guys, the first 6 games, 7 games, they were doing it. They're catching, they're making those catches. Now they're not doing it, and that's the difference. And that's why we're getting beat.
But do you boys, Scott, it is interesting to get your view on this. Obviously, come the fourth quarter, I know the Cowboys are playing a little bit of prevent defense as well, and I know it's probably not the scheme that they would have gone for. But when we did start airing the ball out because we had to, and I think John Tamer made a point when we were chatting to him yesterday. He said, "Look, the Cowboys' defense was gassed. They looked gone when we did try and beat them in the air. In that fourth quarter was just mind-bogglingly crazy. And I get we had to do certain things for certain reasons." But would you have liked to have seen us try and do that a little bit earlier on in the game? Because you've only got to watch the Cowboys' last 2, 3, 4, 5 games to see when teams have been airing the ball out to them, their safeties and their corners have been completely gone. They've been gassed. They haven't got a clue what's going on. They've just been dying on their feet because they've literally just been ran and ran and ran. Yesterday, their safeties and corners must have just been thinking, oh my God, this is not what I thought I would be in for today, because we just tried to run the ball, and then we ran the same play or the same look and things like that. Scotty, for you, should we have? And again, it comes back to what you said earlier. I get that receivers need to be open, but if you look at that fourth quarter, when we did eventually get to it and we did start airing the ball out, we got the tight ends involved and we got Terry's involved, etc., etc. Should that have been our game plan from the first quarter? Do you think?
I think, and John made mention of this. We had success once Dallas was up double digits and they started playing softer. They went into a prevent defense, and even on the drive earlier where they had success, and we were able to get guys open off the line, and so we had success there. And I think it was a kind of a figment of our imagination of what was happening, because earlier in the game they were playing more tight man to man, bringing pressure. And, just looking at the box score, it looks like, quarterback hits. They had eight quarterback hits on Daniels. So he was always facing pressure. I mean, how many times did he really?
We didn't have one, did we?
I think we had one sack.
Did we get to Cooper Rush at all?
That was the one where
where he took it down. I think we
took it himself at the end there just to take it. So it wasn't even a real attack. I'm not even counting
the clock running.
I think we had 2 quarterback hits yesterday, 1 sack, and the sack, like you said, is the one where Rush basically he needed to keep
he wanted to keep the clock moving.
Yeah, he needed to keep the clock running. So I think, yes, we had success, but the success came when Dallas changed their defense. And I think the biggest thing is highlights, and we've kind of mentioned it. We're lacking that home run hitter on offense that can basically take the top off the defense. Terry is a excellent possession receiver, those type of items. And it just seemed like, there's times because we were struggling, is Jaden Daniels trying to be too perfect and not wanting to throw it into coverage because he doesn't want to turn the ball over because we were struggling. So that's one of those things. Do we actually, there's a fine line, because if he starts trying to force the ball to Terry, you're going to throw interceptions. If you watch any of the highlights of the Vikings game, they forced the ball to Jefferson, and every time they did, that's when Darnold, they were having, negative plays, things like that. So there's always a fine line of, hey, if you force it to him and he makes a play, well, everyone says, oh, this is why we need to feed Terry. If he forces it there and it gets interception, it's like, why the heck are we forcing the ball? I need to throw it to the wide open guy. So it's hindsight's always 20/20, but I think it is starting to highlight one of the roster flaws that everyone has stated, where, hey, we need another playmaker. And I think that would just more balance it out, and it would probably maybe allow us to, have a little bit more success on some of those big plays that Scouts is definitely wanting to see. Is, hey, let's throw it downfield, some intermediate routes where you're attacking, plays, in all, basically within 10 yards, 10 to 20 and over the top. But right now, because our secondary receivers, they're decent, but they're not great. So now they're always rolling coverage over to Terry, and the other guys they can, man up on, Brown and Zacchaeus and McCaffrey. They're just not the dynamic playmakers that we need.
Even if we can play, sorry, go on, Scouts, mate. Go on.
I was just going to say about Terry. What the only decent play he made was obviously the supposed prevent defense, and they messed it up. They blown that coverage on Terry. And where was Terry? He was on the other side of the field. He's never on that right side. And when you watch Daniels, he loves to throw it to the right hand side of the field as he's looking at it. So it's like, why aren't you putting your best player there? They talk to us, like as in Dan Quinn and all the other guys. We put our best players in the best positions to succeed. If that's the case, fucking move Terry over to the right hand side. And it's not happening. It's happening like very rarely, like one or two plays. No, get him over there fully. If their corner wants to come, great, come over. But most of the time they don't. And when they didn't, Tay was over the right hand side. He was up against the guy who came off the practice squad, who had a good game, by the way, until he got burnt at the end. Can't remember his name now. But why aren't we doing that more? That was a matchup that we could have had a lot earlier in the game. That guy was starting, you know what I mean, because of injuries. So why couldn't we have done that more? That's what pisses me off.
And you look at the Cowboys, the way they sometimes lined up, especially with CD Lamb, they lined them all up on one side a lot of the times. There was no one on the left-hand side of the field. So you're like, okay. And 9 times out of 10, and don't get me wrong, CD Lamb is CD Lamb. I get that he's great. How the hell we couldn't get near that guy at least once is baffling to me. I mean, don't get me started on people like Sync Ghost and everything like that. We're gonna get into that. But I watched it back in the 40 on DAZN today, Scouts and Scott. The way they lined up is, Scouts, to your point, is they lined up their 3 receiver set on the same side of the field. We don't seem to ever do. We're just the basic. You can get your playbook out and you're like, this is page 18. This is how it's always been done in the NFL. That seems how we seem to have been playing the last couple of games. And hey, look, I'm not sitting here pretending to be preaching to be some sort of NFL coach or anything, but I'm with you, Scouts. Just a little bit of variety. Even when we run, I watched the, what was the late game yesterday? I can't remember what the late game was. Even when we run our screenplays, we run them directly on our line of scrimmage, which for me, if that blows up, you've got no chance to. I was watching, whoever the late game was last night, I was watching it. Their screenplays were that 10 yards down the field. They were throwing out a screen pass, setting it up with already the 10 yards in mind. We were setting up screenplays yesterday, literally on the line of scrimmage. They were blowing up and we were going for negative yardage. So it's basic things like that. Look, I'm not here to throw Kingsbury under the bus, because I think he's done a relatively really good job, and we're all singing his praises 2 to 3 weeks ago. So let's not jump on the bandwagon of completely bashing the guy. I mean, we're going to get into what some fans have been saying today about this team being frauds and this team blah blah blah. They've been living a lie the first 6-7 weeks of the season. Hey, let's kind of pump the brakes a little bit and all of that, because we are, quote unquote, for those watching on YouTube, doing my air quotes now, in a rebuild. We have got a quote unquote rookie quarterback, even though for the first 5-6 games, we've all been saying, look, this guy's playing like he's been in the league for years. So when we do have to draw it back, let's kind of pump the brakes a bit. But I'm with you, Scouts. Like you said at the start of the show, I just want to see a little bit of variety. When our backs are against the wall, let's not make it easy for to be schemed against. Let's not, like you're saying, we're all in our group chat, we're running a screenplay here, we're running the same run play here, we were running everything that was really easy to, was page 1, day 1 kind of things. I don't know if that's because we got not scared, probably the wrong word, but I don't know. Are we tired? Is it something like Scotty says at the start of the show? Is the bye week coming way too late? Are we just not burnt out, but we're just kind of run out of ideas? Or was it like of a mentality that we thought, Cowboys haven't won for nearly 2 months, we're winning this game no matter what. We don't have to play at 100%. We're winning. Well, we didn't even play.
A very one thing, that isn't it? Very one.
I think Scotty, was it an attitude thing maybe yesterday that we just assumed we were going to win this game?
I don't really know. I don't think they do. I mean, listening to the post-game comments, I don't think anything was taking it for granted. I just think right now we've kind of hit the wall of rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Not much depth.
And of course, everything with Kingsbury's history is coming up, and he always struggles the second half of the year. And it's kind of like that stigma's there. And until you actually see something change, people are going to always go back to it.
Yeah. And of all the games to have a bit, the Cowboys have been the Cowboys
Yes.
for whatever reason. Everyone's of all the if we had done it against the Chiefs or something, you would have gone, oh, okay, look, you're playing against the Kansas.
Right.
But when you're playing against a team that hasn't won for nearly 2 months,
Who
and
had
you
no
do
Stephon Diggs, who had no Dak
no Dak
Prescott, got
Prescott,
no run game.
no run game.
I mean, you can go through the whole lot. I mean,
they got Micah back, and that he probably caused the most havoc.
Yeah.
And he basically
you got Micah. I think they had
became,
Micah and CD Lamb. Them two players pretty much won them that game.
But two players shouldn't destroy you as a team if you're a good team. And obviously we got shown up that we're lacking. That's it.
Yeah. Let's boys, Scouts, let's talk about our guy St. Ghost, St. Juice. I'm done with this guy, bro. He gives up.
I've been done for about 18
I know,
months.
but if he give that penalty at the end, was it the end of the third quarter? No, fourth quarter. When the Cowboys it was third down, they didn't execute, and then you look and the flag on the play, and when you look at the play, he doesn't even turn to look at not once did he turn to see where that, but it was an easy call to get, and that put them on the goal line. But this comes to, we haven't got anyone else really. St. Ghost is in for a reason. Are you the same as me, Scout? Scott, it would be good to get your views as well. I say I'm done with this guy, but
he's got to play. At the moment, he's got to play because you've got nobody.
We've got no one. Forbes is injured.
I think the coaching, if you look at the snap count, I think the coaching has made a decision where he is falling out of favor, because I think it was the fewest snaps that he's played all year, and probably going back for a few years. I mean, he only played 58% of the snaps. I mean, wow. Noah and Sanistro.
No one never heard his name, especially because he was on the field.
Was he even in the stadium? I mean, just a little bit of breaking news as well, boys. Just the Commanders have just tweeted out Austin Eckler will be in the concussion protocol. Quinn said today. B-Rob has an ankle injury and will be evaluated throughout the week. And Scouse, your mate Wiley, is also in concussion protocol, and he can stay there till like February.
He can stay till next season when he's caught.
Leave him there and then cut his ass, because that guy is terrible.
I mean, obviously Parsons again is an absolute beast, but I mean, he made Wiley look absolute novice.
Yeah. Again,
like the way he was last year. This season, he had played well for quite a few games, but yeah, he's been found out now. And obviously, I think he got his own concussion by knee, and then he headbutt Parsons' thigh.
Yeah,
his helmet.
Yeah,
and he got a concussion from that. I mean, I know Parsons is a beast, but come on, fella, how big are you? You shouldn't be getting concussed from that. Being honest.
Yeah.
But
boys, just before we get into fan questions for the last 20 or so minutes of the show,
see what St. Ghost? What do you think of St. Ghost?
Yeah, Scott? Scotty, what are you thinking of St. Ghost, St. Juice? Whatever you want to call it.
He's in full struggle mode. I mean, defenses know they can attack him, and I mean that's one of the reasons why Davis played more yesterday than St. Just after some of the early struggles and things like that. And so hopefully, everyone's been debating what's going to happen when Lattimore comes back. What's going to be the rotation? I think the writing's on the wall. The rotation is Sanistro will stay on the outside. Lattimore will be on the other side. Noah will be in the slot. And, then it's probably going to be Davis that will be the number 4 corner. And,
oh, God,
it may be flipping a coin because, hey, outside of those guys, we don't really have anything else. Because Forbes, well, I don't know why he even still goes into the office.
Does he even suit up now?
Have we not cut his pass off yet? When you try and boop into the building, have we not just cut his pass off? I don't know what's going on.
Been cut.
Yeah. Boys, let's get into
part of that's just due to lack of special teams that Forbes does. I mean, he just struggles on.
Can we quickly talk about special teams? What about the return from our goal, the spin move from the kickoff, when you think we've got back into the game? Yeah, I
thought that was only a move you can make in Madden.
Dude, honestly, I've done. The only time I was about to say that, only time I ever see that, I think Big Doug done it to me once when we were playing Madden. I never thought I'd see that in real life on a football field. I mean, when I thought it was going to be a touchback at first of all, and it potentially could have been. And the next thing I'm seeing him do a little pirouette move, and I'm thinking, only Washington, only us, could he take it the length of the field. What did you boys think when you saw that?
I thought it was going to be a great play for us. We're going to tackle him deep after he fumbled it. We're going to get him inside the 10. We're going to get the ball back, and hey, we're going to somehow
Get out of this
go
one.
from an embarrassing loss to basically a frustrating win, but it was still going to be a win. And next thing I know,
Touchdown.
he was off because I remember I was tweeting, after we scored the touchdown, it's like, hey, can the defense come up with a big stop? And it was no more than after I, sent the tweet. It was like, or give up a 95-yard or 99-yard, kickoff return.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I was literally just chatting away in our voice chat, and I looked up at the TV, and I can just running down the side. And I was thinking, only us. Just before we get into fan questions, kicker, Scouse, Mr. Perfect, not so perfect anymore. A lot of fans tweeting out today, surprised that a certain Austin, we say it differently over here, Sieber, I know, getting a lot of shit from our American friends, how we say it, but Scotty Scouse, surprised he didn't get cut today? Bearing in mind what the NFL has been like with kickers and how ruthless they have been. Because for me, look, I get the whole Mr. Perfect thing, but and I get there was a couple, anything on over 50 yards, he seems to have struggled with
shift the
yesterday.
bed.
I don't know what it is.
His face changes like when it comes to 50 yards. It's like,
but the extra point, I mean, come on, you're there to do what? And I get, look, I've never played the sport under that kind of under that pressure. I get it. The snap wasn't great when you watch it back, but the hold was good. Tress had the hold. The hold was fine. He just shanked it. Scouse, what do you reckon? Are we going to be seeing? Are we going? Gonzalez is coming back in.
No, I think if they haven't cut him today, they won't cut him. So so for me, he's going to be starting next week. You can't be that ruthless with the kick. I know the NFL's been like that. You miss a couple of kicks and that's it. You cut him, we'll find someone else. But Seabert has been money for us until that game. So I mean, I think personally,
his shanks are really bad. They're really bad.
He came back. I think personally, he came back early from his injury.
Shelley put that. Yeah, Shelley sent in a question. Is he 100% healthy?
It's right up his ass because he's been perfect since he's signed for us. The 2 games he's played, he's hit everything. And obviously, as the lead kicker, thinking, this guy's on my shoulder, breathing down my neck for the starting job. I need to come back, even if I'm not 100%. And obviously that's fucked us, I think, personally. And he lost the confidence. I think he lost confidence when he missed that 50-yarder. And that was it.
That was a bad miss, though. His shanks are really like what we
they look like amateur level.
If you're kicking a soccer ball, and if you're drilling it when I'm at training on a Thursday, I'm drilling a football. Yeah, it's exactly how you're kind of coached to kick a soccer ball.
Yeah,
some of them they look like the kickers on College Game Day on the McAfee.
I love watching that when I watch them on TikTok. Some of them, when they win the money, I'm buzzing for them. But yeah, some of it is outrageous. Scotty, just finally, do you think he played? Do you think he's still on the roster by the weekend?
Yeah, I don't think they'll cut him.
Okay.
I mean, he's been solid up to this point. I do think there may have been something into, Zane has been good coming off of injury, and just because of how fickle the kicking, industry is of, hey, if you struggle, you always kind of go, hey, let's go with the hot hand. Was he thinking, hey, another good week? Is he potentially, facing a roster decision? And hey, now all of a sudden you're pressing a little bit. And I know, Andy, you golf, I golf. It's kind of like, hey, we're standing on the 18th tee and you need to hit the fairway. Well, I know I wouldn't want to be in the gallery right off the tee box, because that's probably, where
you've seen me play.
I've not, but I've heard stories.
Them stories are all true, my friend. Trust me. Shank City on the 18th. Boys, let's hit up some fan questions, because there are so many that have come in on X and on our Facebook page today. At Steve Andy 42, big shout out to Stevie up there in Scotland. Scotty, you can take this one. Tampa, LA, San Fran are all playoff teams looking to get in the door. Without blind optimism or blind love for the team, are we worthy of the playoffs, or are we the team who will be at the party uninvited? Remaining games aren't a winning record.
I think we're going to squeak it, because those teams, we have a half game up on them. I think they're going to beat each other up playing in the division, many of them. So I think we may be able to squeak off the 7th seed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're going to limp over the line And then me and Hartley have got a really big decision to make. Do we bother getting on?
Now, if they come out and weigh an egg against Tennessee,
Our next 3 games are the Titans, the Saints, and Philly.
yeah,
2 home games and 1 on the
yeah,
road.
I personally think we have to win
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And the biggest one is this upcoming week, because if we lose this, now all of a sudden it's a snowball, and it's like,
especially with
everyone
Philly
then
winning,
will be starting to look at each other, what's going on, and
if Philly beat us, that's the division wrapped up.
I think it's now after losing yesterday. I think that's it.
We've got to do something against Philly at home and hope something happens.
They have to lose 2 games now, besides against us. They've got to lose 3 games now. They're never going to lose 3 games.
I'm with Scotty. I think we squeak in. Oh, are we kind of going to be uninvited? I mean, look, you earn what you get in the NFL. I mean, teams have squeaked in before. Look at the second season, the man in the crazy throw in the Super Bowl. I think they squeaked in that year and ended up winning a Super Bowl. So, hey, look, I'm not going to say we're going to do that, but I think we squeak in, and then you never know. But yeah, I wouldn't want us to get embarrassed, but I just don't know. Scouse, Gav Johnson would like to know, do we win that game if St. Juice stops that play at the end of the first half? I guess he's talking about the penalty when the one that we just mentioned. I don't think we win it. I think it's more competitive.
Because at the time we weren't doing anything on offense anyway. So it doesn't help, of course. And there's still plenty of time to get back into it, even from there. And we
were back into it. We missed an extra point. We were in the game. That's the most annoying thing for me that I keep coming back to. Somehow we performed another miracle, and our kicker couldn't. I don't know. It drives me crazy. Scotty, Chief Two Guns would like to know: is Noah Brown number 2 receiver? He's put. I don't think so.
For us, yes. Should he be? No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
no one else, to be honest. Who else is there?
Yeah. I mean,
we're talking about depth earlier. Who else is there?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the number 1 position going into this off season. I know a lot of fans are, they're trying to say, hey, T. Higgins needs to be the guy that we target in free agency. Either that or, there's, I don't know, I've not really gone to the point of looking at free agency or really the draft, but, it's probably on offense, it's one of the top positions we need to identify, because we lack the big time playmaker, the home run hitter. We don't have really a running back that can break it loose. You watch what Saquon did last night. We don't, of course, he's absolutely elite, but we don't have any player that, really puts the fear in the defense's eyes of saying, hey, if we don't defend this guy perfectly, he's going to kill us. And I think that's ideally, I think Terry is a great complement to let's say a guy that can go deep, and then Terry can work the under routes. I think that's what we need. And, Terry would be probably the best number 2 receiver in the league. He's a solid number 1, but, it's a position where we need to add in the offseason. And I think Peters, hopefully will have a plan.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a plan. Paul Turner, I'll take this one. Why the hell did we start so poorly after all the pre-game hype? All the hype was only because it was the Cowboys and they had been so bad for 2 months. We hadn't played great coming into this game, but we all, to quote Scotty G, we were all drinking the Kool-Aid coming into this game because we all thought it's the Cowboys that haven't won for 2 months. They have, Dak's missing, et cetera, et cetera. We all thought somehow we'd win this game. We're putting 30 on them. We're putting 40 on them. Even after at the end of the first half, I thought, okay, we'll find a way. We will find a way. And by God, we nearly did. Some sort of miracle nearly happened. Again, comes back to what I said a minute ago about missing. Who knows what would have happened if that game had gone to overtime. But for me, though, the hype only come around because of how poor the Cowboys were. It wasn't how great we'd been playing, because leading into that game, we haven't been great. We haven't been getting blown out, but we haven't been the Commanders of the first 5-6 weeks of the season. We haven't been as competitive as I'd like us to be. And again, that comes back to many factors. Yep, you're like Scout said at the very start of the episode, but you're never healthy. We haven't got a healthy roster. But then you look at your depth isn't great. the bye week again is coming so late for us, even with this mini bye. This bye week for the third season in a row is coming so late for us. I mean, I
Which is
think
unheard of, by the way. 3 in a row.
yeah, 3 in a row.
That's-
I don't know what's. I don't know. Maybe the league
buys.
still. Yeah, maybe the league still hate us from.
Yeah.
Scouse. Ali Hunt would like to know, given the recent collapse of offensive play calls, whether that be drop catches by skill players or the O line not performing, what's the biggest upgrade needed in the off season?
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So I think Scott G mentioned it before. It's wide receiver, a guy who can take a top off a defense. A speedster, but who can actually catch a ball. No, forget these De'Ami Brown guys. I'm talking like an actual real guy who's got real speed, who's scary. And one of those guys would be nice. That for sure. Then I'm looking at tight end because I think Zach Ertz is too old personally. I think he's an okay possession receiver, but you're never going to get more than a 10-yard pass to him because you can't get down the field anymore. So I'm looking for another pass catching tight end who can do the job. Sinnott, at the moment, I know he's a project. I understand. But I think all I've seen from him since he's been in, when he does get snaps, he gives away penalties. So for holding, that's all he gives away. So at the moment,
penalties have been killing us in the recent weeks. By the way, penalties have killed us in the recent weeks.
Yeah.
Basic.
It's all these stupid holding ones,
or too many men on the field.
Penalties.
Too many men on the field. How many weeks now? Is that 3 weeks running? Basics of football.
This is
get off the fucking field, man.
This is standard stuff.
It's basics. Get off the fucking field, you lazy bum.
You 11 men, that's it, no more.
Yeah. Get your fucking take your shoes and socks off if you're not sure. Start fucking counting someone. Get someone on the sidelines to do that.
I thought they had the guy up there in the booth fucking saying, fucking hell, I guess the guy can't count. You know what I mean?
Sack him. I know. Scotty, Simon would like to know.
Just a point on the last one. I can't believe Scouse didn't say a right tackle because he wants why are we gone. So it can't be that bad.
Third on the list.
Okay.
He's third on my list. We all know he's going to be cut at the end of the season because he's a bum. But anyway, but I see from actual weapons.
Scott, if somehow Wiley stays on this team next year, I think Scouse is. Yeah, someone better fly over to the UK and see if Scouse is okay. Scotty, Simon Oliver would like to know. He says the bye week is very much needed. Yeah, I agree with you there, my friend. He says the question I have is how much of the squad makes it for 2025? Still some gaping holes.
I'll be honest with you, I've not really looked at the overall roster construction. I've been drinking your Kool-Aid that you've been serving me, so I was thinking
appreciate it,
we're all about the playoffs and we're working for that. So
home game, yeah.
We definitely ain't getting a home game now. That's for sure. If we are going to this. That is one. I text Hartley the other day. I was like, Scott, we might be going to Atlanta. That's what I think we're going to somewhere like that.
I still think if you just look at in general, there'll be, secondary. There's going to be some changes, some depth pieces in this, wide receiver room, and you have a number of guys on 1-year roster, 1-year contracts that will either come back or they'll have to be replaced. So I think, you're probably looking at still probably at least a 20% turnover going into next year, probably potentially to 30%. That's just without really doing any analysis of.
I think it's, I think you're right. I think at least 30 to 35% roster turnover. I mean, last year it was something like 70%, which is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, you mentioned the secondary. Yeah,
Peters will know. He'll already have a plan. The plan's already in place.
All the depth players,
all
the depth pieces need to be binned off. Let's face it, because the depth guys aren't doing the job.
Yeah.
You're looking at your Trent Scotts. You're looking at, even Lucas banged up. I mean, he's too old now. We need to get somebody else in.
I don't think Lucas has been healthy since the day. Well, he played his first ever game. Didn't he get injured on the first play?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's just craziness. I can't remember that one to be fair, but we're probably. Secondary, you mentioned there. You mentioned Forbes. We've mentioned Davis and St. Ghost, and I mean, there's loads of guys that you could just chop like that and not even think about it. And that's the thing. You see, this team is the first team that gets starting 11 mostly is not bad if they're all healthy. Yeah, but if they're not healthy or they're playing banged up, their C game isn't good enough.
Scouts, we have a starting 12, mate. We have a starting 12. They can't get off the fucking field. Remember?
Yeah, they can't even count.
We have 12, by the way. We're the only team. We're the only team in the NFL that try and have 12. Scotty, my girl Shelley, my sister from a different Mister. Dallas got CD involved on the very first throw. Why does it take us so long to get Terry involved? Lack of talent around him, she says.
I
Kind of
think,
touched on this at the start of the
yeah,
episode.
I think we've kind of, touched this point. I think a lot of it is the scheme and, the way they're calling plays. And then I don't know if it's the defense. I know I rewatched the Pittsburgh game and Joey Porter Jr. basically never left Terry's, hip pocket.
Why can we do that with CD Lamb though? We just,
yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? That's where having the players to execute.
Yeah,
like
I think
says.
CD. I mean, that's where you kind of differentiate, some of the discussions in the season-long debate of CD versus Terry. There's just a skill level there that's a little bit different.
Oh, Scott, you're breaking my heart here.
I think,
All right, Jesse.
Nice
okay, Jesse. I thought you weren't here today, Jesse.
Hey, you asked me to. I have to do something that Jesse does.
I know. You need to give a weather update soon as well. Boys, let's quickly. We got about 5-10 minutes left. Let's switch to the UK and Ireland Washington Commanders Facebook page. Big shout out to everyone that contributes on there. I really do appreciate it. Scouse, Paul would like to know, why do you guys think it's gone wrong at the moment? Is it a case of other teams finding us out?
Well, I think that's always going to be, again, an element because everyone does the homework. Everyone watches film. And now they've got, was it how many games we played now? 12, 13, 14 games, whatever it is. 12 games. And they've got 12 games of film on Jaden. So they know what they're seeing. They know what they're getting from him. So that's when coaches really earn their money. You see, it's like, okay, now people are getting onto us, people stopping us or stopping how we start our first 10, 15 scripted plays. Let's change it up. And we've got and obviously, hopefully you make more right choices than wrong or not. And that's the way it's got to go. And that's what I want to see. I need to see changes to the play calling as well, not just, we're not on first down. 0 yards because we've got no B-Rob because he's banged up. We got to change it up, man. And that's what I'm looking for. So, but yeah, teams are finding us out. They found us out basically at this moment, but that's just why this is where Cliff gets the big money. He's got to change it up and make sure that they don't be where they're so easy to kind of read at the moment.
Yeah, he's got to come out, especially this bit. Like the Titans are going to watch the film back from the Pittsburgh game, from the Cowboys game. We've got to come up with something. I mean, the Titans defense. I mean, I've seen them a few times this season.
No joke.
They're no mugs. They're a good side. I mean, I saw them against the Bears at the start of the season. They won them that game on their own. So this Titans defense can win games of football for you. I watched the Bears game and they were tremendous that day. And I mean, the Bears defense obviously bailed them out as well in the end, but I thought the Titans defense were incredible. Scott, last few questions. Rod would like to know. So having watched the game back just the 40 minutes, I think we can say we are all through our lack of quality in depth of the O-line has caught up with us with B-Rob with his ankle. He says, why did we stay with the run-heavy plan when we went to the pass-heavy quick release in the final 5 minutes? Dallas had no answer. I mean, we've kind of touched on it. Why did we predominantly try and run the ball for the entire game when it clearly wasn't working?
I think because the few times we tried to pass early, the pass rush got to
say
Daniels. So I mean, it just kind of highlighted kind of the our biggest issue is Dallas had a game plan. They executed it better than we did on offense, and we never adjusted to it. In the beginning of the second half, I thought, hey, we're going to have something because hey, we took the ball. Daniels ran the ball a few times and he made some plays. Then after that, did we have like 2 or 3 and outs? I mean, I think, from the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about Tressway was never going to, is he ever going to punt? Now I think he has 17 punts the last 3 weeks. So he probably needs the bye week more than anyone because his leg's getting tired.
Miles Scouse would like to know, do you think we make the playoffs? This side looks scary, and the break did us good. It did us no good for this game. The slide looks scary, and the break did us no good for this game. Again, we kind of mentioned. I think we squeak in, Scouse.
Yeah, I mean,
and I mean just squeak in.
Seventh seed. I think we're definitely playing second seed away. I think that's what we'll be doing.
Oh, we're on the road. We ain't playing home games.
So in postseason.
Forget us going to Washington in January to watch a playoff.
Oh no, no chance. It's going to be definitely the away game. I just think Yeah, if we beat Dallas, how we should have beat them. Let's face it, we shouldn't have showed them any mercy. At the end of the day, they're all banged up. They've got no virtually no, got half a team out. Being honest, um, and we just let them run all over us and dictate, and that really pisses me off. Right now, if we beat them like we're supposed to have beaten them by at least 10, 15 points, even people were saying 30 odd to 6 and stuff like this, crazy numbers. But we'll be looking at it through a different lens, thinking, okay, I know it's only one more extra win, but I'm thinking, oh, we'll smoke the Titans now, and then it's going to be the bye week, and then we're going to go to the Saints, and then we'll get them a beating as well.
And then we got
Lamar
Philly
will
at home.
play, and everything's going to be great. Now we're saying we lost to a shit team that we shouldn't have lost to. It's the first time this season that we've lost to a team that I think we shouldn't have lost to. And now we're all thinking that it's all over. It's like, oh, we got Titans now. They've got good defense. They might take us out. For me, it's like I'm not scared of any of these teams that are left besides the Eagles. They're the only team that I'm worried about because the other teams just aren't that. The other teams we're playing aren't that good. I mean, they're not great. And if we can actually just step it up, play like we did a little bit more the last kind of 5 minutes on offense, play that a bit more earlier in the game against the Titans, air it out a little bit more. You might see.
I mean, I'd air it out
with.
still air it out, like you said, still air it out with caution. We're not talking fucking 60, 70-yard bombs down
Yeah, I'm
the
not
field.
expecting like Caleb Williams shit running
No,
60
but even if
across your
you look
body
at
and all that.
even if you look at getting your tight ends across the field, just basic like just move the chains, mix it. If you're not going to target, if Terry's not getting open, then go to your tight ends. Go scheme something that you can still get a quick 15 yards here. Then you can run the ball for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. Get them little gains. Do what got us to the dance. Do what got us. And I know we weren't.
Tried that, but without we had no B-Rob, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not going to have it. He's not going to be playing this weekend. B-Rob's not going to be. He's not going to be playing this weekend. I don't think.
And just to add on to the whole item of the question, I truly think it's going to come down to Week 17 against Atlanta. That's going to be for that final wild card spot. If I was going to make a bold prediction right now, because if you look at Tampa Bay's remaining schedule, I honestly think they can catch them for the division because they have the Panthers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Panthers again, and the Saints. I mean, so I think the Buccaneers are going to likely, in my opinion, if I was going to guess right now, they'll win the South. And so our game against Atlanta will be for the tiebreaker to get the wild card.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I
hope you're wrong, but I've got a feeling you might be right. Daryl would like to know, Scotty, would you have gone for 2 last night? Dan Quinn usually gets it right, but feel that was a missed chance to steal it after a well-managed comeback. I don't think it was a well-managed comeback. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think we fucking got very lucky. But
I think that's a reaction to the result. I think you kicked the extra point.
I mean, you kick the extra point all day long.
Yeah,
I mean, I get why I'm with you, Scott. I get why you would have said it because he didn't kick great all game. Austin didn't kick great all game. But yeah, for me, you take it to overtime and you try and win the game.
Yeah, because I think at the time, our defense, they I think could have they were still getting some stops because they just came up with, potentially, the ability to hopefully get the ball. Dallas wasn't, doing the great. It's one of those things, no matter what you decide, it's hindsight's 2020. If you end up losing the game, everyone's going to say, hey, why didn't you go for 2?
Hindsight in football, bro. Hindsight in football.
Yeah, really, I mean, the thing is, though, and don't forget, Siebert has been money up until this game. You know what I mean? He really has been. I mean, he's been really, really good for us. And yes, he was struggling, and you can see. Maybe if Dan maybe took that on board, maybe had a chat to him or something, because you can see the body language from Siebert, even when he was just trying to practice his kicks on the side of the field. He didn't look confident. He looked like his face. He
probably hasn't had that kind of pressure as a kicker.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a nice thing, but that's what kickers. That's what he sign themselves
paid to do.
It's a situation where he had already missed one extra point. He already missed a long field goal. I mean, he actually made. I thought when they kicked the 151-yarder to get it to try to figure out what's going on with the playing of the possessions. Hey, he made a 51-yarder. So I was like, hey, he had some confidence. He put everything behind him. Mm-hmm. And then, of of course, the low snap, which does throw everything off. I mean, yes, he's saying the right thing. It's all on him. But if you ever kicked, if the ball's sitting there, you already know you're going to kind of
your style
kind
and
of
the
yeah,
way
you kind of change yourself. It's kind of like, I'll go back to golf. You're standing on the tee box. If you pull your driver back and you happen to hit an old tee on the ground and then you get that little click, it throws everything off. And as much as you don't think it's going to cause a
I
problem,
just pull my driver out the bag and it throws everything off.
well, I've had that situation as well. That's why I ordered a new one.
Yeah, I pull my, but yeah, I get what you say. Boys, last question. Martin would like to know. I'll take this one. It's really easy. Do you think we win another game this season? Yes. Don't panic. Don't panic, guys. I just want to throw one thing out there quickly before we get out of here. I was scrolling through social media last night and today. If one more fan calls his team frauds, I'm going to lose my shit. These are the same fans, by the way, that 2-3 weeks ago couldn't get their nose further up this team's backside. Jaden, everyone was great. This was great. That was great. Oh, come on my
Fans are fickle,
podcast.
man.
I'm doing
Well,
this.
it's just,
and I get fans of pickle, but even to call this team frauds is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Did we play well? No. Are we
I
allowed
think
to be angry and frustrated? Yes.
the
They're
only
not frauds,
fraud,
though.
the only fraud was the legend of the game.
Yeah.
the leg end of the game. Yeah,
Don't get me
Yeah.
started on that dude.
Yeah.
Dressing his
RG
Tex-
Yeah. I mean, with his
Texas
props
hat.
and all this other stuff. And,
It's
I
fucking
mean,
cowboy,
that
isn't
basically right there started off, all downhill. But
Don't get me
it's kind
started
of like,
on don't get me
Yeah.
started on RG3. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. Put it that way. But yeah, stop calling this team frauds, man, because you're all going to be the same fans if we somehow do squeak into. And I get fans
I
of
think we're a
fans.
team.
I get that. I get it. But come on, man.
We're a
Don't
team
jump.
that. Oh, we're sorry, mate, to interrupt you, but it's just
No,
kind
you're
of
good.
like we're a team that's overperformed and now we've been found out.
We're ahead of where we should be.
That's what
Let's
it
put
is.
it that
We're
way. We're
frauds.
ahead of where we
what's
should
funny
be.
is it's 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, everyone was afraid that Cliff was going to leave and get a head coaching job elsewhere. Now everyone says, "Oh, we got to get rid of him."
Myself.
and I get as fans, we all have short memories. I've done it 1,000 times myself, but come on, man, this team are far from frauds. We are way better than we were last season. This team has given us much more than I've seen in the last 2 to 3 to 4 seasons, maybe since 2020 when we snuck into the playoffs and we had the Heineke diving for the pylon game. That's pretty much all we've had in 4 years.
For how bad the team played yesterday, we still had a chance to win it again.
Yeah, we could have been talking about an overtime win very, very easily. So yeah, let's not get too down heartened. I know we're all disappointed from what happened yesterday, but hey, it's a new week. The Titans are coming into town this weekend. Not going to be an easy game, but if we can somehow get back rolling, it's not going to be easy. I mean, and then we go into the bye, and then we got the Saints and Philly. But Scotty, thanks so much, man. Episode 100. It's been good to have you
and to fill in Jesse's spot, you wanted a weather report.
Yes, please.
Currently is 12 degrees, wind chill of -6, which for you guys it's -11. Feels like -21.
-11, Scouts. Oh, geez.
And
feels like
upcoming this
-21,
weekend, it will actually be below 0. So
yeah, we've got.
I think all this talk about can Jane Daniels handle cold weather? I think Mother Nature said, "Hey, we might as well make some parts of the state it's cold."
Let's find out. But yeah, Scotty, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
I know it. Scouts, episode 100, bro. Thanks for being here for the 100th episode as always, man. It's been a pleasure to let's keep it going. Let's do another 100. By episode 200 we might have won a Super Bowl.
I hope so, mate. Fingers crossed.
Gonna throw it out there. We might have even competed for let's do something. But hey, let's it's not all doom and gloom. Like I say, if you want to check out this podcast, just go onto YouTube, type in The Bunker. You'll see the little Washington logo where you can find us. The show's also available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get a podcast fix. You can find myself, Scouse, and Scotty G this week, and usually Jesse. Jesse, much love to you, bro. Hope all the family stuff gets sorted, my man. I know you're up against it at the minute. Sending you much love, Jesse. Hope everything's all right. But yeah, make sure you go and follow us on Twitter or X, whatever you crazy kids call it these days, at Commander Bunker is where you can find us. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next Monday where hopefully we're talking about Washington getting back to winning ways. But till next time, everybody, bunker down. Stay safe.